Thanks, Ciarán. And first of all, thanks to Deputy Joan Collins for bringing forward this important motion, and to the independent group. And I think it is a very welcome opportunity to discuss the impact of development on our communities across the country, and the degree to which our communities are actually benefiting from the development that is occurring. And of course, we all understand there has to be, as a matter of urgency, very significant development of housing. But I think one of the things this motion points to is that the development that is happening is being driven by the profit hunger of property developers who really see the housing crisis as an opportunity to make money, and consequently we get development that doesn't particularly benefit the community, doesn't particularly assist in addressing the housing crisis, and where the stresses and pressures that that type of development then puts on communities actually reduce the quality of life of many of those in the localities and in the environment where those developments take place, when what they should be doing is enhancing the quality of life, making things better for people, but often the very opposite is the truth. And the last consideration very often is precisely what does the community need. And I would say that doesn't just start with the development levies and how they are spent, but it starts with the development itself. I want to first of all take this opportunity to say, given the scale of development that is needed, that is likely, hopefully, to happen in terms of housing, where that development is occurring, we are not getting enough public and affordable housing in the development that is happening. 10% social housing is pathetic against the backdrop of the housing lists that we currently have. And even if you add in the 10% affordable in the new developments, that is pathetic. Because what it means is every private development that we see, and it is still the private developers who are dictating, certainly in my area, and I suspect in most people's areas, they are dictating the developments that happen. It means 80% of what is being developed is not affordable for ordinary working people. So the only people who can buy it are big funds, or sometimes AHBs, and I'll come on to that, but by and large, big funds buy to rent, extortionate rents, and often the state ends up paying the bill for them in terms of RAS and HAP payments, even though the people who live in those places still don't have security of where they live and often find themselves evicted further down the line. So the first thing I want to add to this motion is that we need a much bigger, if we are going to seriously impact on the absolutely dire housing crisis that we are now facing, we need a much bigger proportion of every private development that is completed going to social and affordable housing. To my mind, there is absolutely no point whatsoever in building unaffordable housing. What possible benefit does it serve? I mean, to give you one example, we've been criticised for opposing some developments in our area. I'll give you one example. The co-living development that is near completion in Dún Laoghaire, built by Bartra, on a site which was a former school site where we have been campaigning for public and affordable housing for more than a decade, is then bought by a property developer who is now completing a co-living development where there will be 200 rooms that are the size of disability parking spaces with pull-out couches, where it's going to cost €1,800 a month to rent them, and you're only allowed for rent for 6 months. Or it might be extended to a year. In other words, contributing nothing to the housing need of the area. The ordinary people affected by the housing crisis will not be able to rent those places. And indeed, it begs the question, who the hell could afford that or would want such a development? That's the kind of development that's going on, right? Purely profit-driven. That has to stop. Secondly, the quality of the housing. I mean, we've discussed the impact of the Celtic Tiger in terms of building defects. It may well be the case that the cowboy building of the Celtic Tiger era is not behind us and is still going on. And I'll give you another example. Deputy Devlin may be interested in this as the chair. On Johnstown Road, a new development, much welcomed by many of the people who got houses allocated, all bought up by AHB. Within 3 months of the development, there's uproar among the residents over the quality of the build by the developer. Within 3 months. There is damp within 3 months in newly allocated social housing. There's water pouring into the underground car park. There is no lift in the underground car park, so people have to carry their shopping up 2 flights of stairs to get in, or buggies, or people with mobility issues. There's major problems with the windows, and by the way, the water going into the car park is also affecting the fire alarm system. Where the hell was the oversight of these developers that were still building stuff like that? It is absolutely unbelievable. So that needs to be addressed, and we need to stop the cowboy builders. Or another example, residents near Dean's Grange, in a number of units that were bought, good, for people bought out for social housing by the local authority. People moved in thinking, happy days, I've got somewhere to live, Glebe Court, exactly, and actually they find the place is racked with damp, the heating systems aren't working, there's no proper insulation on the doors, the windows, and people are literally shivering and freezing during the winter months. It's unbelievable stuff, right? So these things need to be addressed by precisely the sort of getting a proper share of the development levies to address them. But quite honestly, as Deputy McLaughlin said, and I was a co-host of the Oxfam thing, as was Deputy Pringle yesterday, it's just, you see, where is all the wealth that Oxfam identified in the hands of the new layer of multimillionaires and billionaires they identified in their report? Often it's in the hands of the property developers and the property speculators who built these substandard developments, who are charging these extortionate rents. They are profiting off the misery of communities, off the extortionate rents, off the substandard building, because we don't have proper planning and we don't have taxes to tax these people, to actually give people the communities, the community resources, community services, the public service, the health services, the doctors, the infrastructure, all the stuff, and the quality housing that people deserve. So thanks to Deputy Collins, and I hope the government will actually start to listen to the issues that are being raised in this debate, but I won't hold my breath.
Thank you, Deputy Boyd Barrett.